All right, fellas, welcome to the pod. Hold it closer up to your goddamn mouth. Jesus
Welcome
Christ.
back to the
Fucking
Banshee
Yeah,
podcast,
the fan
where
Banshee.
we just describe every episode of Banshee
I know
in extreme detail.
Yeah, to the enjoyment of nobody who's never seen the show. What a terrible idea for a podcast.
Even to people who have seen the show.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, I remember. I know, dude. I thought about because I feel like they would be great if I edited in the scenes, but it's just too much work. Maybe I'll do it later when I don't know. For some reason, I feel you know what? That's the type of stuff that you do when you, I don't know, win the lottery or whatever, or I get like a contract to write for Velma, dude. You know those okay? So I have a friend, who was telling me like how she's like, oh, like I have I think it's like an office PA job or something, but she's like, it's about to end because the writer's strike. Dude, these fucking cunts were making like between like $3,000 to like $20,000 a week.
What?
A week, dude.
Doing what?
Writing.
For what?
Dude, because this is what I was telling her. I was like, the first writer's strike happened in like around 2007 or 8. I remember with like, because I remember like Conan and like Jay Leno, they were all like coming out and just doing bits that didn't require writers or whatever. And they had to write all this stuff themselves. Like, you know, monologues are usually like, they have jokes from a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
And I was like, that made sense then. I feel like writers are definitely, obviously, because they're not in front of the camera, like no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
But now, dude, I mean, the writing, you know what I mean, today is like, dude, why are you on strike? You piece of shit.
Making $3,000 a week.
I know, dude, making $3,000 a week to write what? Velma? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like way more than they deserve in the first place. I don't know.
Wrong.
Well, anyways, I was telling you a story before we started recording.
Oh, yeah, you were.
Yeah, so I was at an open mic yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, actually yesterday was Valentine's Day. Where I was like, today for Valentine's Day, I will buy Harry Potter, the game.
Dude,
Loving myself. It's sick, bro. Like, I hate, like, I don't hate Harry Potter, but I never thought that it was, like, on the level of, like, Star Wars or, like, Marvel or, like, all these other universes. But it's just because, honestly, just, I didn't really, like, understand the potential that the universe had. And the game really, like, makes you see, like, oh, like, this could actually be really good. It's just that the movies are about a fucking 11-year-old boy who gets, you know, like, trying to get killed by a bald albino man.
The villain from Banshee.
Yes. Yeah. Dude, holy shit. If you cut off that fool's nose instead of his cock, he would be exactly like
He'd be Voldemort.
But anyway, so I was at the open mic. And the dude was hosting the mic. So me and my friend, we just walked out after it ended. And he's like, oh, like, you guys going to the Comedy Store? And we're like, no, we're just gonna go like get a drink or something. And he's like, no, like, he's like, it's just good to like, basically he made it sound like it's just good to be seen around there. You know what I mean? So people know who you are. Because obviously, like, a lot of success in Hollywood is just who you know. You could have like somebody who's like a good whatever writer, comedian, whatever you want to say, but nobody knows who they are. Then, you know, obviously no one's gonna give them an opportunity.
Yeah.
So we're walking there, and this is, I don't know, like 4 blocks from where we were at. And he turns around, he says like, oh, like, do you guys mind? He's like, oh, like, can I tell you guys something? And I was very intrigued. And then he said, like, you guys don't know him, but so previously in the mic, I had made a joke about Chris D'Elia, about how he sucks. And it's like, if you're gonna get raped, at least get raped by a guy that's good. Something to that effect.
Of course.
Yes.
Miguel's most successful comedy.
Classic comedy.
Least controversial Miguel joke.
Yeah, I literally made a joke. I was like, if Bill Burr raped me, you would at least be like, well, it's Bill Burr. You can't say the same about D'Elia. Anyways, he got a little, not pissy, but you could tell it irked him. When I said, he's like, actually, he's a great comic. I heard him, like, he just said that to me, and I'm like, okay. And then, so when he said that, he's like, you guys don't know him. And I was like, oh, he's about to talk shit about D'Elia, or he's about to talk shit about somebody famous. And I was like, ooh. And then he's like, my friend got killed by the cops yesterday. And then, dude, it was so funny. He was walking in front of us. So he was like walking like in front of me and my friend, and just kind of like glancing back every like 10 seconds. Like it was kind of like he was talking to himself. And they would look back and be like, yeah, so, he was an alcoholic, and he would do wild shit like call cops the N-word. And then, yeah. And then he's like, I'll call cops the F-word, not fuck. And I'm like, just say... You know what's funny? The set before me was some dude who was doing he was trying out jokes for a roast.
Yeah.
And he was roasting like I guess like a Mexican dude who was like very short, and I was like, is he roasting me? And then he said some joke, and this guy was like, he's like, that would be funny if you said something like fence jumping beaner. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. And so now I'm like, oh, but he won't say the word faggot. But,
Miguel will.
Yeah, but racial slurs are okay. Anyway, so he kept telling us about how like this dude would apparently like get drunk and start fights with cops, and he lives in Palmdale, the guy who got killed. So apparently, like, I don't know if you ever been to Palmdale?
Not often, but
it's a little town.
Yeah.
It's not big, so I guess he had like a reputation in Palmdale. So like the cops knew him, and he starts saying like, he's like, I think they shot him on purpose. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is crazy. And he's like, yeah, he left like 2 daughters and his wife. And I'm like, Jesus. So then I turned to my friend and I'm like, bro, like this is like, why is this guy telling us this?
This he really needed to get off his chest.
And then halfway through like a sentence, we walk, like we're by the Comedy Store entrance. He's like, yeah. And then it just like turns, says hi to the security guard, and just walks in. And we're all like standing there. Me and my friend were standing there like, and we don't know if like, do we follow? We try to follow him, and the guy stops us. And we're like, he's like, what show are you going to? I'm like, we're not, like, we're just following this guy, and this guy has already disappeared. Just went through the door and just left, and we're all like, oh, no, actually, we're good. And we just looked at each other like, what the fuck just happened? I was like, he just, I think I had met this dude once, maybe before.
And he was like, let me tell you about this.
And he just opened his heart about it. But it was weird because, like, it's not like he was walking, like, looking at us, you know what I mean? Sort of, like he was literally just walking in front of us, glancing every, like, 10 seconds to see if we were still there.
What the
I know, I was like, what the fuck was this?
Someone should check in on that guy.
I know, I should Google. I was like, I didn't even, like, bother Googling to see if it was real. That actually happened. But yeah, that's
I'm sure it'll be on I forget what that channel I watched that posts the police body cam footage.
Yeah, dude, suicide by cop is fucking insane.
It's no, that stuff is crazy.
Well, they're gonna, because
I've seen it too many times on video, man.
Because he was saying his family's gonna sue him for what do you call it, like, basically the department would have to like subsidize whatever the dad's income was. Because it's like, oh, you killed my dad, now like nobody can support us financially. And I was like, that's a thing, right? I thought it was actually less paperwork if you just shot somebody, and that's why they went for the kill, because they were like, we don't want this motherfucker explaining shit. We just shoot him in the head.
Miguel, I don't think it's ever less paperwork when you shoot somebody.
I don't know why I thought it was like, case closed, he's dead.
When you shoot someone, they're just like, check this box. Yeah. Was this intentional? Yes, no. And that's it.
That's the boxes in Banshee. Yeah.
There's not even that. In Banshee, there's not even those
Dude,
boxes.
In Banshee, I feel like he just grabs the paperwork and fucking wipes his ass with it. And gives it to the DA. He's like, hey, take this.
In the first episode, they say that he has the secretary do all his paperwork for him.
Dude, there are so many things that are written in that show that are like crazy coincidences that almost make sense. Like, that is one of them where, like, they literally give him paperwork and he's just staring at it like, what the fuck is this? And instead of the Shaban being like, oh, like, how come the sheriff doesn't know what is looking at paperwork like he's looking at a fucking hieroglyphic. Instead, it's like, oh, you just don't want to do it, right? Here, somebody else will do it for you. It's like, right, thanks. It's like, it reminds me of that episode of, have you seen All Nathan For You, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, all you need to do is be confident and you can get whatever you want. And he has like a kid feed him his lines in a job interview.
Yeah. I love that one.
Or when he has a turtle and he's just staring at the dude, like making like confident faces. That's what this reminds. Just so confident. He's like, okay, I guess you can do that, Mr. Sheriff Hood.
Sheriff Hood.
Anyway, so no more Banshee for now. There was a monumental thing that happened that we should have covered before, but it literally, the news broke the fucking day after, which was James Gunn.
Oh, his DC slate. And now we're late.
Yeah, we're like super late now, but it literally broke the day after we recorded.
But it looks pretty cool.
All right, so let's go through the films. Let's start with the first, I think...
Superman!
Superman what?
Legacy. James Gunn is writing, but we don't know who's directing or playing Superman.
So he said he's writing the movie, right?
Yeah,
and he said that it's about a 25-year-old Superman, right?
Early 20s Superman, he said.
But he's already Superman.
But he said it's not an origin story. It's just an early days Superman story.
Which is weird because in Zack Snyder's, he doesn't become Superman until he's fucking when he's 33, literally.
Yeah, because he's Jesus. That's how Jesus was when
he
died.
Oh, wow. No, I actually... Oh, right, yeah. Because he still lived with his parents or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so funny that they use Henry Cavill to play teenage Clark Kent and they just make his hair longer. And I'm like, this dude has the fucking like testosterone of like a 40-year-old bull. Like his jawline is insane. He definitely not 17. Like he would look like Timothée Chalamet. They should have had him play 17-year-old Superman. Anyways,
so now we're getting a younger Superman.
Has he released any other details about it?
Just that it's about his... It's when he gets his job at the Daily Planet.
It's
like early days Superman, but I think just shortly after he's come to Metropolis.
I'm worried, and I think this is what I was worried about with Star Wars as well, that I was completely right about, which was sometimes when the previous adaptation strayed a little bit from the source or too much...
They tried too hard.
They tried too hard, to like bounce it back. So I'm like, fuck. Like, is this gonna like feel like literally just super old school Superman? Which I would argue that there's modernized versions of it that are pretty good as well.
I don't think it's gonna be just all old. I
trust James Gunn, obviously.
I think there's gonna be a lot of ass kicking and cool stuff because the first Superman movie is very good. The only thing is just like. There's
no action.
The technology required, to make an exciting Superman movie just didn't exist.
Yeah, and what's funny is that like then the second one is like as balls to the wall as you can go with the technology. They were like, yeah, just fuck it. I don't care if it looks fake. We'll have him fight 3 people. And I was like, this is like, I legitimately like I remember watching that movie and I was like, they went for it. Like, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah, the second one really goes... It swings.
It's super comic booky. Yeah. And you would never... Like, the first one, you could really feel the dude was trying to make sort of... I don't know what the word would be, but, like... was trying to make a film about Superman. And then in the second one, you're like, this is still good, but he fucking went for it. He has, like, him fighting people, like, through buildings and stuff. Like, this is, like, crazy.
The Superman first 2 are those are cool movies.
Yeah, and so of course Zack Snyder was like, one good Superman movie, me make it. I mean, admittedly, the action was really good, but completely like missed the charm.
Yeah, and it's just such a moot point talking about Zack Snyder now, especially now that he's gone, thankfully. But like, he just has no charm or charisma in his because it's just not his wheelhouse. He's good at certain things.
He's all style, very little substance.
Yeah, and just no charisma. Like his Superman isn't charming. He's not like you're not like, oh, it seems like a cool guy. He seems like a sad guy.
And again, credit where credit is due. I've always thought that DC movies are way better shot than Marvel movies. Like the way that you can actually tell it's a different fucking director, first of all, is pretty good. Second, like I would argue their CGI and coloring and everything is way better. Or not way, but you know what I mean? It's noticeably better than...
I don't know.
Than the Avengers. The Avengers movies, I think, are the exception.
Because I say Iron Man 1 has amazing CGI.
Yes, but Iron Man 1 is like an actual, like, you know what I mean? Like, that was still not the... That was their audition.
Yeah.
To turn this into
It's kind of weird looking back at the MCU's phases 1 through 3, because they're kind of distinct. And the thing is, I don't know if it was intentional to make each phase... Because, like, 1 is very much, like... Is pretty bold. The first... Even though I don't like the first Thor movie, but, like... It's a Kenneth Branagh movie. It feels like it. Iron Man 1 is fucking badass. That's just a cool movie. Then you got, like, Captain America, like, went for it with, like, being a World War II movie. Because if I, like, was making... I remember when that movie got announced, I was like, oh, what would I do if I was making a Captain America movie? Like, I don't think the thought crossed my mind to have the whole thing take place in World War II.
Right, that's just his origin story.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Like, it's pretty... Like, they went for it, and those movies are very... Like, Phase 1 movies are very distinctly Phase 1.
Right, but I'm saying, like, after that, it then became the sort of what do you call it?
Because I think it's because 2 is Iron Man, it's Guardians, and then it's the sequels to the other ones.
Yeah, but I feel honestly by that point I could not tell the difference in terms of cinematography, and like just the shot. Like you would have. Anyways, we're getting off topic, but like I'm just saying like there are things that I liked about DC, especially that I liked that they were trying to differentiate themselves.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, never mind. We'll actually do it the same.
Yeah.
And then it's just the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I assume that for this one, I don't know. Like I like James Gunn, but I am worried that I'm like, can he write a Superman movie? Like I don't think he's ever written anything that sincere and earnest. Like all the stuff that he writes is very satirical and sarcastic.
But I think at the end of the day, I think the Suicide Squad and the Guardians movies have more sincerity and heart than any other superhero movie. I think he just needs to
maybe Guardians 2.
Guardians 2 and Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad, I think at its core, yes, I will literally that's what I like about it. Is I think that movie is like you look past how shockingly violent.
But that's what I mean.
But I think he can remove that. I don't think it's.
But then, what is it the same when you remove that contrast? That's what I'm saying. Like, because a Superman movie can't be that. A Superman movie can't be a violent sort of raunchy film.
I think he can do it if he just removes the F words and blood.
Yeah, but I just don't. I'm not sure if that actually works
because I think his writing is much more than that. Like his characters are very strong, they're very distinct.
Again,
and he has a lot of there's a lot of heart in everything that he writes. Like the Suicide Squad, when you remove the violence and the humor, it's a very sincere movie about like messed up people, and like that's what I like it is I like that it feels very genuine, like the characters and the relationships.
Sure. But again, I just think all that stuff comes off as really good because you have this contrast, and I just worry that without the contrast, whether that's gonna work or if he even feels like it's working when he's writing it. You know what I mean? If he's gonna be writing, he's like, I can't have Superman, fucking masturbate and blast through 7 buildings with his cum. Like that's something that he would write, and now he can't, or at least he shouldn't for that type of character. You can do whatever you want, right? If he wants to write that, I'm sure that I would enjoy it, but I don't. I mean, it doesn't fit. It's not Superman, right?
I have a lot of faith. I think he can. I think he can do it.
I don't know. We'll see. I think it also obviously heavily depends on whoever they pick to direct it.
Yeah, and that's what's gonna. It's gonna come to the director and who the fuck they cast as Superman, and it's gonna be someone we've never really heard of. It's gonna be someone who's like, oh, I think I've seen that guy in something before.
Yeah, of course. That's what Henry Cavill was.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you didn't really know who he was. It's also, like...
I just how it goes,
I can't
usually
think of...
Like, or like, Pattinson as Batman. Like, a lot of people knew Pattinson, but no one was like... He was no one's pick for Batman.
No, Pattinson was hugely famous. I would argue
but I mean, he was no one's pick for Batman.
Right.
No one was like... Who's going to be the next Batman? Not a single
No, I think
person
Batman's
said
actually the opposite. I think Batman has always gone for big name actors. Like, you think about literally when Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, fucking George Clooney.
Well, George Clooney wasn't big at the time. The only thing he was doing was ER.
No, he was pretty big, bro.
He wasn't huge.
He was pretty big. But I'm saying, like,
not like that.
Compare that to Christopher Reeves. Compare that to Brandon Routh or Routh or whatever.
Yeah.
Compared to Henry Cavill, like, Batman has always been the opposite. Get me fucking Ben Affleck.
Well, you got
Get me
Bale
fucking
wasn't huge.
Christian Bale. Dude, what are you talking about? He had, like, a fucking Oscar nomination. But that's what I mean.
For
like,
which movie? He didn't have the nominations yet.
American Psycho.
He wasn't nominated for that movie.
Anyways, he was already very famous. I'm saying they were all way more established
Than Cavill was?
Yeah, I mean Pattinson and Ben Affleck, you know what I mean, were
Yeah.
fucking A-listers when they were cast. I would argue Christian Bale was as well. I knew who he was, and I was fucking like 10 years old.
But you were also traumatized by American Psycho.
Yeah, exactly. So I had seen that film. I had seen him in
Machinist?
No, fucking the Dragon movie. The Dragon movie he has with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, yeah. No,
Fire.
I guess he was. I forgot that came out before.
Yeah, Fire in the Sky or whatever it's called.
Not a good movie. Cool idea.
Go fuck yourself, bro. It's a great
Of course
movie.
you would.
I love
it's
that
a
movie.
cool idea. It's
It's a sick. Actually,
it's not super quality.
when I watched it as a kid, I just loved McConaughey just jumping with two axes.
It's got cool shit in it, but it's not like.
I
cinema.
enjoyed it. I thought it was Rain of Fire. That's what
Rain
it's
of
called.
Fire, yeah.
I mean, honestly, remake that movie. I cannot believe that movie exists. They really were like, we're gonna get Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey.
Like the post-apocalyptic dragon movie.
Post-apocalyptic movie where where Christian Bale woke up a dragon in a cave when he was a kid, and how they took over the world. Like, what a fucking insane idea. Anyways, all right, Superman Legacy is the first film.
They got the Waller show.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think you know how I feel about Superman. He has to be really well written for me to give a shit. Waller show, I don't get that as much.
Well, you didn't finish Peacemaker, that's why. I can tell that it's picking up a pretty massive plot thread from the... I don't know if you're planning on finishing Peacemaker. You should.
What I guess what I was saying is, like, just in general, I am always a little bit... I mean, I guess it worked with Peacemaker, but, you know, when they get these clearly supporting characters...
Yeah.
And make them the main character.
Well, I don't think it's gonna straight up just be about Waller.
Of course not, but you know what I mean.
What it's more like because there's a big thing that happens at the end of Peacemaker.
Well, I assume it's gonna be something like Secret Wars with Nick Fury.
I don't want to say.
Don't tell me. Anyways, all right.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, without saying there's some plot threads that need to be resolved before the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker are seen again.
Yeah.
So this show is going to be about making that possible, and I think there's interesting avenues for it.
Listen,
honestly, I
honestly,
think we're going to see a lot of a new group of murdering super anti-heroes.
Sure. Well, to be honest, who gives a shit? Let's move on to the good stuff. Green Lantern.
Green Lantern sounds hype.
Yes, because it's
both of them. Which is what I've been saying.
It's a detective show.
Yeah, with both lanterns.
With Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Sick as fuck.
Yeah, and they literally use True Detective as their example of what it's based on.
Have they ever actually acted as fucking detectives in the comics, though?
They're not detectives as much as they're just space
They're reactionary cops, right?
Yeah.
They're like patrolmen.
Yeah.
But fuck it, right? Like, why not make something more interesting?
Going around solving some cosmic mystery. Which I guess could kind of fit into, like, what they're doing. And apparently he said that is establishing... Like, whatever they're investigating is going to be what ends up being the big threat of this first phase.
Oh, probably Brainiac.
I don't know. The first phase is called Gods and Monsters.
Probably Brainiac.
You think that... I think it's going to be something less cosmic, more mythological. He also said that I'm pretty sure he said that Swamp Thing's horror movie is going to play into it. So I'm thinking something more...
Probably Brainiac.
You really think Brainiac?
Yeah. Or Parallax.
Brainiac would be cool. Parallax would also be cool.
I just feel like please don't fucking go sicko mode again.
Like right out the gate?
Yeah, and have fucking Doomsday in like Superman's second
Doomsday
movie.
Way later.
That's what I mean. Like, and Darkseid in the fucking first like Justice League. Like,
there's cool.
Relax,
there's
motherfuckers.
Cool Superman character. You can Cyborg Superman is cool. Metallo is cool.
I love Metallo.
Metallo's badass.
Yeah, Metallo, the fucking rapist with kryptonite heart. He's sick.
Parasite's cool.
Yeah.
You have a good list of characters that haven't been used.
Bizarro.
Yeah, Bizarro. You can use Zod in the second one. You can give us a good Lex Luthor. I'm assuming Luthor will be a supporting character in it. I'm hoping he is.
I hope so, bro. And I hope that I'm one of the few people that actually thought Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor was a good idea if they went with, again, the modernized sort of like tech giant version of it.
I think that could have been a good version of it, but it also would have just inevitably been a far cry from who, because Luthor is supposed to be a very stoic, old-fashioned businessman.
Again, is Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man the Iron Man from the comics? Not at all, right? Completely different dude.
I don't think he's completely different.
He's completely different, bro.
No, because Iron Man was always kind of snarky. He was always kind of a fucking ass.
He was a fucking madman character.
Yeah, he was
in the comics.
He is a fucking asshole psycho.
Yeah, he's a madman character. He's not this like, because I mean,
well, but then you're talking more like Civil War era Iron Man from the comics.
No, even before. What I'm saying is, they don't have to be the exact same guy from the comics to be a good character.
But
right?
you also have to realize that fucking there's a huge difference of recognizability between Lex Luthor and Iron Man. Everyone knows who Lex Luthor is.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if you keep the core elements of if they had kept the core elements of Lex Luthor, which is that he is ultimately a very human pro guy who is very ambitious, who is very smart,
smarter than everybody else,
who is super pragmatic, who is a great diplomat when he wants to be, and who can also be who is prone to like these,
he's
like
violent. He's Kevin Spacey in House of Cards.
Yes, exactly. You could have all that, but instead be a tech giant instead of whatever the fuck he is in the comics, which is basically just a rich guy.
I mean, it's kind of he owns like the robotics company.
Yeah, in the comics he's like fucking like
what Lex
Tony Stark
is doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just what I'm saying is I thought that was a good idea. I still think they're probably gonna go with something like that, but I think it's gonna. My assumption is that this new guy will actually be based on Elon Musk, not the way everybody was like Iron Man is totally Elon Musk. I'm like. It's not what Elon Musk does. Iron Man is basically a combination of Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's what Iron Man is.
Yeah. He has all the like intelligence, but he also has all
is
the
a good
like,
businessman. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He can sell whatever.
But Lex is never that, right?
No.
Like Lex is not really Lex is a genius, but he's not exactly known as like or at least I don't.
Well, he becomes president. He can be public.
No, but I'm saying like I don't think he's not like a super ultra genius like engineer or anything like that, right? Like
no, because he did build his suit.
He did?
Is smart. Yeah.
Okay.
And I know it's an L. So did you ever read Superman Red Sun?
No.
That's the one where it's like Superman lands in Soviet Russia.
No, I know what it is. Yeah.
There's this one funny like part in the story where like Lex Luthor is like to test his brain because he's developing the weapon to beat the Soviet Superman.
Yeah.
And he's like working on it, but he's also playing chess against like 10 chess masters. And then later they come back like towards the end of the story, like Lex, you have to think of this. And they're like, he hasn't been motivated enough. So while he's working on this, he's now playing chess against 20 chess masters, and if they lose, they die. So they're more motivated to beat him. And he's just like, how can I invent a weapon to kill Superman? And he's just also beating everybody at chess at the same time. So he's super smart. He's just like, I don't know. He's not like, because he is charismatic. He's just kind of like, you kind of trust him because he's like this very smart guy who's like, I know what I'm talking about. Like,
I guess it's like, I don't really recall seeing him portrayed as somebody, like, what I'm saying is he's more Steve Jobs than he is Steve Wozniak.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they're gonna like try to base him. I wonder if they're gonna try to make him Superman's age. Like
that's what I've been wondering.
Right, like they do in the comics sometimes, or like they did in Smallville.
We need more details because the timeline is a bit unclear.
Yeah, because in the movies they always have like he's always been like literally like 20 years older than Superman or 15 years older or something.
Yeah, he's always been a bit older than
like Gene Hackman, Kevin Spacey, like except Jesse Eisenberg was younger, I think.
He was.
Yeah,
it's tough. We'll have to, because again, with like the next movie is Batman, and he's going to be a couple years older than Superman, but he'll already be on Damian Wayne Robin. So unless
let's hold up on that thought. We'll get into this specific the movie. Shit, we're talking about Green Lantern.
Oh yeah,
Anyways,
Green Lantern sounds cool.
yeah, Green Lantern sounds sick. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with the Superman movies in the timeline. All right, the next movie that was announced was Batman and Robin.
And then Brave and the Bold.
It's the full title, Batman and Robin.
It's just called Brave and the Bold.
I mean, they're
It's
gonna
not called Batman and Robin. Well, according to from what we know now, we can make
It's probably
assumptions.
gonna call it Batman: The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
So first things first, that title implies campiness, right?
Yeah.
Like that title implies this is comic book Batman.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for. Is that I think
Yeah.
there'll be a bunch of crazy action and I know realistic stuff.
Yeah.
Which is all cool.
No,
with
obviously,
me.
I mean,
want
it's
all
always
that.
gonna be. It's always gonna have a. It's always gonna. Batman always feels grounded in the sense that everything around him seems to be a little bit grittier and darker than most characters.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, like he's still not gonna be like he's not gonna be able to do superhuman shit. But he's gonna be like borderline Captain America level.
He's just always been very rooted in that like old like his comic origins, which is like his universe has always very clearly come from that old style of like comic books being detective pulpy horror stories.
Right.
And his universe kind of evolved with that and never left it behind. Whereas like
just kept adapting.
Yeah, it just evolved. It just grew with the art form.
And but this is crazy, dude. The fact that he's like Damian Wayne is already involved. That's fucking insane.
That's what people are like. So Batman's gonna be a few years older than Superman, but he'll already be on his fifth Robin.
Okay, I've always said this, and I know might not be popular, especially with this certain fellas of certain islands. But
what? Of certain islands?
Yeah, certain U.S. territories.
Okay. Oh, your
but
favorite Robin is Damian?
No, I just fucking hate how many Robins there are.
Yeah,
it's too many. I think 3 is fine. I think you have one.
Which ones?
Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Damian. I think that's fine. I think having the bisexual one is
Tim
crazy.
Drake.
Yeah, and I think there was another one, right? Or maybe I'm just thinking of
not like main ones that have stuck
no.
around.
I'm thinking of the ginger chick from.
You're thinking of that, and there was like Stephanie Brown was Robin for a little bit. She became Spoiler.
Yeah, and what's the Huntress?
Huntress, yeah, but she was never Robin.
Oh, Batgirl. Sorry, I was thinking of Batgirl.
Yes, there are like
too much, right? Batgirl is Oracle. Leave it as Oracle. You don't have to cripple this bitch to fucking give her a computer. You know what I mean? Like, that's not necessary. She can just be that. Like, to me, it's like the whole goddamn idea of Batman is that it was a man that required extensive fucking psychological, physical, and, you know, whatever you want to say, like, everything. Like, he is a man built by training, right? Training takes time. So it always blew my fucking mind. Like, Batgirl was the stupidest one. Like, oh, so this bitch just like knows gymnastics and now she can do Batman shit. What? Like, the whole point of Batman is that he had to go through all of this training to even start being Batman, right? So
yeah,
when they have the first Robin, I'm like, okay, it makes sense that he goes through this progression where, first of all, he's always with Batman, right? So Batman
he's always with Batman, and he's trained alongside. Because Dick Grayson makes the most sense. Because he trained with Batman from a very young age.
Yes, and he's a gymnast, right?
Yeah.
And then he graduates to Nightwing, where he like now has to go off on his own, and also,
and by that time, he's been training with Batman for so long that it makes sense.
But even then, it just, you're trying to keep Batman in this age range that it just doesn't make any fucking sense by the time that he would be like an adult or something, right? Because you're like, oh, he's a 25-year-old that adopts a fucking 13-year-old. You know, he's a fucking pedophile. Doesn't make any sense. But anyways,
I think the only explanation they could go to timeline wise would be that he had more than one Robin at once at some point.
Yeah,
I think they would have to say that he maybe, and I've always kind of liked that idea that he had.
Here's
which
the thing.
I don't think I've ever seen anything, but I kind of like the idea that he had Dick and Jason at the same time.
I am not mad at Jason Todd either, because to me, Jason Todd is also the one that makes sense because he's been a fucking lifelong juvenile criminal.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, great. Dick is clearly has the athleticism part covered. He's been a gymnast his whole life. He's been doing like, you know, acrobatics or whatever.
Yeah.
And Jason Todd has been a fucking, like, he's been fighting like older kids his whole life. Like, there's something that makes sense about like how they.
And he was always supposed to be the least effective of the Robins. Jason was always like the kind of the weakest one.
Well, Jason is supposed to be, well, at least the way I saw it, he was kind of the best fighter, right? Like he was the most aggressive one.
He's the most, because he's the most psychotic one.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
But like he never listened to Batman. He fucked up a lot, and you know, so that's why he becomes Red Hood. It's like, okay, any lack of skill is made up for by the fact that he'll just fucking shoot you in the face.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, what I'm saying is like those two kind of make sense. I mean, it's still a comic book, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just
Damian
saying, like,
Wayne makes sense clearly.
Damian Wayne is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah,
because he's
raised by assassins from birth.
Yeah, his mom is badass. His mom is hot.
His grandfather is the ultimate assassin.
A centuries old criminal.
Yeah.
And then he has, if I'm not mistaken, he's been like genetically enhanced, right?
I think it's. I'm not.
I think it's implied,
that sounds
right?
kind of, yeah, I believe so.
It's implied that he's been like, he literally like sleeps in like a fucking rejuvenation chamber or some shit like that. Like he's clearly meant to be like Batman did all this shit training and the hardware, whatever, and this guy has been doing it all, but instead of sort of like, what if you had a kid the moment he was born?
Yeah, you were
already
to murder
thinking,
people.
exactly. You're already thinking like, I'm gonna make this fool into a weapon, instead of he's gonna want to become a weapon after a traumatic event that happens when he's 8. I think in the comics. So again, those to me like make sense. In terms of, I never liked Tim Drake that he's like, I figured out who it is and now I get to be Robin. It's like, fuck you. Batgirl, same thing. I was like, bitch, you just wear purple, and like, I mean, that's why you got shot by the Joker. You were not ready for this. But yeah, I love Damian. I love him. I hope, dude. I know this might, maybe with the fantastical side that they're gonna hopefully explore now. Maybe it's a possibility. But I would love a teaser of future Damian Wayne when he's made a deal with the devil. Oh. And he's just fucking like basically kind of the Punisher. And he's like, he has fucking demon powers.
Yeah. No, I like Damian Wayne. He's cool.
That issue, Batman 666. I think I used to have that. Or maybe it was part of a collection that I had or something. I remember reading that and I was like, what the fuck?
Was that still when Morrison was writing, or was it more?
I think so. I think it was part of the death of Batman.
That's a cool comic.
Yeah, because Damian has been like Batman for like centuries or something, or like for a long time, basically, because he's immortal now.
Yeah. And
he keeps like, basically like, he became immortal so that he's like, I think if I have many lifetimes, I'll finally be able to live up to my father's legacy. I'm like, damn, that's fucking crazy. Yeah, dude, I'm hella excited. I assume it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be like, what's the arc called? Son of the Demon or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I highly doubt that it's gonna be like, oh, he's already established as Robin.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be about him adjusting to, first of all, finding out that the hot Persian woman that he nutted in has a kid. And that this kid has been training and has like and he's already killed people by the time that he
his 12-year-old son he didn't know he ever had is a serial killer.
Yeah, it's badass.
And Batman's like, all right, time to train.
Yeah, is it
fight the Joker?
What storyline is it? Or it's a comic book, right? Where like he literally like is about to kill the Joker like immediately when he comes to Gotham.
That's the one picture of him with the fucking crowbar. He's like, yeah, I love that one.
And he's like, but you guys are struggling with this shit? And he literally just comes in and fucking smacks the fuck out of the Joker. Yeah, that shit's sick. Yeah, I think, let's talk about what this means for the Batman. The Robert Pattinson movies. Again, in my opinion, they should just end it. I think it's just like, what is the point of having two simultaneous movie live action Batmans? And again,
not even just that, the TV shows they're doing for Pattinson as well.
Yeah, like it sucks, dude, because I love the Batman. I thought it was a great movie, but again, this is just a proof of how big of a fucking mess this goddamn studio was. That they, like, this is just the shittiest
Did you hear
timing.
Gunn's statement on how bad it was?
No, what he said?
He was like, he's like, this place was a mess. He's like, they were giving out licensing rights like they were candy. To his exact words, like, anyone who came in and smiled at them, they gave them the rights to a character. He's like, there was no quality control. He's like, they were letting them do whatever they want.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah. We could
That's
tell.
just what that no one's ever said, and apparently, like, some WB executives like mad that he was saying that.
Oh, shut up.
And, like, he was right.
Shut up, you fucking jabroni. That's my new word. It's not exactly a slur, but you know what I mean? Halfway there.
Okay.
A jabroni.
Genius.
Yeah. Let's editor, cut that out. We don't have an editor.
No.
That's a cool joke to say. Cut that out. So
And
people
it
know that
stays.
I regret it.
Yeah.
And I don't get canceled, but I'm gonna keep it in.
Yeah, that's how it works.
But it's not getting edited out. Dude, let me write that down. That's a sick word, bro. Jabroni. That could be a sketch.
Culture Bomb Podcast.
The movie.
Least problematic podcast.
That's. I guess I'm thinking about it. Anyways, yeah, dude, like, because that movie should have never existed, right? Like, because again, they're like, oh, I'm gonna release a fucking comic book Like, first of all, it would have given them the proper breathing room between Batman, right? Because we're still gonna have a fucking Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton Batman in
but
the
that
Flash.
one's officially, like, it seems the Flash is being pretty clear that, or James Gunn has pretty much said that the Flash movie is going to officially be the reset.
No, again, I understand, but I'm saying, like, that, and this is more fine with me than the Batman existing. Because, again, it just sucks because the Batman was so good and it did a lot of things really well, but it just doesn't fit anymore. And it just doesn't make any sense to, like, I hate market saturation.
Yeah.
You know, especially because movies that cost this much money really depend on the casual audience coming to see them. And I just think if you get first of all, half of nerds have no money, right? Like, people who watch movies, like, how do nerds go watch money? They make their parents go see it, right? And they go watch it with their parents, or their parents buy them a ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just feel like you can't be splitting your own audience, especially when movie tickets are so fucking expensive. You're like, oh, should I go watch Robert Pattinson's Batman, or I don't know, Jensen Ackles' Batman, or whoever the fuck's gonna be the new Batman, right? Like, I don't know. I just don't like it. Just stick it to one. Just fucking stick with one.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind when they do different. I don't mind even when they do, like, live action TV and movies, right? Like, I'm like, okay, fuck it. Like, you can't watch it all right, Marvel.
Yeah.
Like they did with the CW, right? Like, nobody gives a shit. Nobody's thinking, like, you can't have another Flash with Grant Austin. No one thinks that at all. No one cares. But with, like, a live action movie Batman with fucking, like, literally big budget fucking big movies, like,
yeah, it's
too much.
It'll just be too confusing, even though they say they're going to be very clear going forward when something is an Elseworld story. But it's like,
but it doesn't feel like an Elseworld story. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Joker is a very clear Elseworld story.
Yeah.
Because it has the character, but the story is very different. Things are very different. Bruce Wayne is, like, 6 years old. You know what I mean? Like, everything is very different. The Batman is just an adaptation. It's not like an Elseworld story where, like, oh, this is Batman if he had a gun, and, you know what I mean? It's set in the 1940s or whatever. Like, this is, like, just a Batman adaptation. It doesn't feel like an Elseworld story. It's not different enough.
Yeah.
To really think of it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess if they keep making them, I'll watch them both. But, like,
it's gonna be confusing for people who aren't nerds.
And again, I am worried that it's literally gonna, like, take money away from the main DC Universe Batman,
away from each other. I think.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's just too much. I don't know. We'll have to see. Especially since they were fucking making a whole fucking universe just around Pattinson's Batman.
I hate that too. To be honest, like, I know people get, like, upset. You get upset sometimes. You're like, it's just as long as it's good content. But I just think, like, it's just overplayed. Like, these Marvel shows were overplayed. Like, making a show about
the Marvel show sucked.
Yeah, like, well, that's
That wasn't
the
the
thing, too.
problem.
No, but I'm saying like you just sometimes just make less and make it good instead of making a
But
bunch.
the issue is there's so much fucking Batman stuff that if you
Yeah.
don't touch on it, you can't just put it in the movies. Because then you're going to be having some
I don't give a
motherfucker
shit.
playing Batman for 30 years.
Yeah, but like that's why I just have a plan, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I
Well,
know
that's
I
what they've been lacking. And
right.
that's
So
what
I
they
know
have
they're
now.
gonna have that. Was anything else announced?
Yeah.
What else was announced?
Creature Commandos, which is going to be like that Suicide Squad animated type show that has Weasel. And a
Okay.
couple other
Live
weirdos.
action though.
Live action. The Authority. The only thing that
Oh,
matters.
right.
The only thing that matters.
Okay. I was confusing them for somebody else. I was confusing for the guys that fight Superman, that are like the British guy with mental powers and
Manchester Black and his
yeah,
goons.
they call something. They call like the something.
Yeah, they're lame. The Authority is way cooler.
Well, that's a sick.
Well, no,
arc.
they're cool. But
That's
like,
a six. Yeah,
the Authority is epic.
I want to read the comic. I never heard of it. I never heard of them before, and they look sick.
Midnighter is badass. He's awesome. Like the point of Midnighter, conceptually,
I know Midnighter. Yeah,
but how clear do you know?
he's a gay Batman.
But yeah, but let me. So the point of him conceptually as a character
Yeah,
was to make someone who was a Batman type character, but had power, was power scaled up, so his base levels put him on like because Batman is obviously like, oh, it's a dude who does kung fu versus like an Amazonian with super strength, a guy who could fly and shoot lasers from his eyes, a guy with a super magic ring, the fucking god of the ocean. And then a guy that does kung fu. If you put Midnighter up against the rest of the Authority, they're all Justice League level characters, and he could stand his own neck and neck against them base level. No prep time, no special gear. He has super strength.
yeah.
He's invincible. He'll always regenerate. He has Wolverine healing. He has a computer in his brain where any fight he pulls up to, it will, within a millisecond, calculate a million different ways for him to win the fight. So... Because, like, people put, like, I see a lot of people like, who would win, Midnighter or Batman or Deathstroke? If you drop them into an arena with no weapons, like, Midnighter would tear them all apart in 3 seconds without even trying. Because he is literally designed at his base level to be, like, he could throw hands with, like, Thor.
Yeah.
Basically. You can't, because, like, you can beat Midnighter. Someone could beat Midnighter, but Batman, 100 Ra's al Ghul, Batman, Deathstroke, all fighting, he would just tear them apart easily with no problem at all. So he's just designed to be someone who could throw hands with like the main villains without needing like, I built a suit in my garage.
Yeah,
he's just like, I'm just strong enough to.
Since
he
you're
uses
not
guns,
human,
too.
you're not human. I can shoot you.
Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, they say he uses guns. He rips people like super violent. He'll just like go into a room, start ripping people's heads off with like their spine, and just like tearing them apart. So he's cool, and he's gay, and he's married to fucking gay Superman,
Nice.
Apollo. So Authority's
It
gonna be
looks
epic.
sick, dude. I want to buy that comic.
Yeah, because they're like a more morally gray Justice League. They're like, again, and they're like the middle ground where you have like there's the Justice League, and then remember there's that alternate crime. What's the alternate version? They have Owlman.
Justice League
Ultraman?
Society. Justice Society.
No, because aren't they called Crime Syndicate? Justice Society, it's like an alternate universe where it's like an evil Superman that has like the Ultraman, and it was like an evil Batman that's Owlman. Yeah, so there's that. There's the Justice League, and then in the middle is like the Authority, where they're just like godlike powerful, and they're like, yeah, we just found the bad guys and killed all of them, and everyone's like, well, wasn't that wrong? They're like, what do you mean? And they just leave. They just don't get that they're like. I mean, I guess they kind of do, but they just don't really think they're doing anything wrong, like at all.
Well, I'm excited because
stop me?
This dude straight up announced like another Superman movie, literally called Superman versus the Authority.
No, he didn't.
What?
No,
I thought I saw that.
no. People are saying they're probably going to fight because the Authority and Superman have fought before.
Oh, I thought he announced a movie that was literally called that.
No, people are expecting.
I saw that in the slate.
No,
God
that would be
damn.
sick. People are just expecting it because Superman has fought the Authority because he's like, listen, he's like, you guys are, and that's a comic book.
Yeah.
That came out recently, and that guy that we were talking about earlier, Manchester Black, is in that comic.
Oh, okay. Because that arc is pretty sick.
Yeah,
One with the
Manchester
the
Black.
Elite.
The Elite,
That's what
Superman
they're
versus the
called.
Elite.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, Yeah, no, I like that story.
Yeah.
So people are just speculating Superman will fight them because, again, they're kind of like, they're good, but they kind of just are the opposite of what Superman believes superheroes should be.
Right.
Where they're like, yeah, I'll just curb.
So he's not
someone's head to the floor.
gonna break anybody's neck. Is this what you're telling me?
I'm guessing they're actually gonna go with like a Superman that is from the comics.
A lighthearted one.
Yeah,
Because he's supposed to also
he's supposed
be.
to be a nice country
He's
boy.
supposed to be a contrast to, dude. Imagine he has a fucking Southern Kansas accent. That'd be sick. I'm here to help you.
And he's like, Batman, have you heard about QAnon? Pa Kent was telling me about what the shadow government's doing. Let's put a stop to it.
Bruce, you need to tell me what you know about the stolen election. Bruce, have you seen what they're doing in schools today?
And Batman's like,
Teaching boys their girls.
Look what I have on the back computer. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, he looks it up.
It's like Epstein connects it all, Batman.
Yeah,
We have to kill him.
He's like, he turns around. He's like, wait, who is this on Epstein's plane?
Lex Luthor.
No, it's Bruce Wayne.
He's like, oh,
He's like, beep, beep, boop, beep.
delete.
No, that's Hush, actually.
Hush.
He took my face and my penis and put it in a 12-year-old. That's
face
not me. Yeah.
Can we make a comic book called like Batman versus Epstein?
Yeah. I mean, there is
Like what's that? Okay, not just us. I'm wondering what's the licensing legality on that. Like, I always thought it'd be funny if they made like a Punisher comic where he just goes to Epstein Island and he's just murdering everybody.
Well, I was about to say Punisher Max had a king that was
it has
an arc that's low
kind
key
of
like
like
that. Yeah,
that.
not really, but it's like against like investment bankers. and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's the Barracuda one.
Yeah, that one's sick. But,
I was talking like, what if he just went? And that one's like on a yacht. It's not. They're not really on an island.
yeah, but
I'm talking like, what if he went to like an island with someone named Gepstein and started killing
Jeffrey
everybody
with a GEOF.
Jeffrey
Epstein.
Gepstein.
Jeffrey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Combine them. I heard this in Cometown where they were saying they're the Wario and Waluigi of rape.
Yeah.
That's the funniest.
So yeah, that's
Comparison.
what they should do.
Dude, because I remember writing Epstein at the end of my thesis, but I beeped it out.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because I was like, I
I
feel
remember
like,
when you told me, I was like, Epstein at the end, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna beep it out though in the editing.
well, because I don't know, I felt like it would sound a little bit more like interesting, like, ooh, like what do you say? Why did I beep that out? You know. But I was like, again, just literally an indulgence in my part. But honestly, dude, I would actually like. I don't think there's a problem legally, because the dude is dead. I think you can. I don't. I think there's
Someone
literally a
will
law
come
like
kill
you,
us, though,
like
huh?
you can't defame the dead. I think that's like literally a law. Like you can't defame the dead. Like it would have to be something crazy where like their estate. But I don't. The dude didn't have kids or anything. You know what I mean?
He's
like
like Elaine Maxwell.
No, but like he doesn't have anybody legally, right? Like his bloodline died with him technically.
Cool. And then if we made that comic and got sued, that would make us more.
No,
famous.
but I'm saying like I feel like you can legit get in actual trouble with the people that matter. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I don't get sued, but then you gotta see a fucking
That's what they shoot us.
a green laser beam through your window, and you're like, shit. You know, like I'm like, well, fuck it. I don't know. There's always been stuff like that I'm like, I feel like it gets too real, and you could actually get in trouble.
So what you're saying is you don't want to write the.
I'm saying we could do it
Epstein
about Epstein.
comic.
I'm saying yes, you can do it about Epstein, but I'm saying like if you just start naming like Goldman Sachs executives.
No. The only name we would throw in is Epstein.
Okay, yeah, you could. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Of course.
So
Yeah,
that's the next comic we should put on our Patreon.
Yes.
Is just we'll invent a superhero and make Epstein the villain.
I mean, I definitely plan to include him in our origin story.
Okay.
Which I
good.
finished that. Fuck, I forgot to upload. I definitely plan to have him, of course. What story is complete without the inclusion of
I
Epstein?
mean, he's such a core part of our lives.
Of our-
And if you've been following the Culture Bomb podcast,
yeah, guys, please check out the Culture Bomb comic book origin story, which is the very real thing that happened that led to the creation of this podcast.
yeah.
When
We went
Evander
through a
and I
lot.
used to be contract killers for the Chechen mob.
Yeah.
Um,
And they adapted it into a show called Barry.
yeah, well, I mean, it's it's not. That's what I was thinking about because I was like, you know what, Russians are kind of like, you know what I mean, like cliche.
Yeah, they're the new Italian.
Also, I was thinking about like their so there's this Irish dude called Daniel Canahan, right?
Yes.
And Daniel Canahan is like this like very well known Irish gangster. It's like wanted by Interpol and everything. And one time they wanted to make, I think it was a Tyson Fury fight or something like that. And they couldn't because they're like, dude, you just shouted out a criminal wanted by the Interpol saying that like thank you for your support or whatever. But I guess the guy's like super into like he's super like involved in boxing.
Yeah.
So then, in terms of MMA, who's super involved in MMA?
Conor McGregor.
No, well, yes, and we're our sponsor, Proper 12. No,
Yes.
Kadyrov, right? Like he, like the Chechen warlord, has pictures with like every single UFC champion, and like actively like sponsors like fighters from Chechnya and like East, like you know what I mean, like Khabib, like parts of like, all those
Khabib.
people are like, they mingle a lot, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking about when I was thinking of Chechens, on how they, throw gay people off the roofs. We're getting way off topic. What were we talking? Okay, was there another movie announced live action besides The Authority?
Swamp Thing.
Yes.
He said a Swamp Thing R-rated horror movie.
And he said it's based on the Alan Moore run, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Or he showed comic. He's been showing comic books.
Okay, because I remember reading that, dude. That I loved that comic so much, bro.
Yeah.
I had the 4 volumes written by him.
And I love
It's
Swamp
fucking
Thing.
amazing.
Swamp Thing is epic.
Dude, Swamp Thing is amazing, and I think that's one of those first comic books that started this trend of like actually like trying to break down and reinvent classic Silver era characters the same way that Frank Miller did with like Daredevil, where he like powered him up a little bit and was like, okay, how much can he actually do with these powers? And Alan Moore did the same thing with Swamp Thing. It was like, oh, like he can do this? Do you have any idea how much power that is? Right? Like he's like, even if, what the fuck you just said to me, that this dude can like literally like connect with the planet and he can move everything.
He's the
like,
guardian of Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Like you start thinking about it and you're like, he used to just be like, ooh, I want to fuck my old bitch, but I can't because I'm a plant.
Yeah. And now Alan Moore is like, so you're telling me he's the guardian of Earth?
Right, like
of the entire planet.
He got turned into this.
It.
He got turned into this. Like he literally went from like a B level,
like horror anti-hero.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Not even a hero or villain. He was just a thing that existed.
Yeah, exactly. He was just a character. He was sort of I don't know what the equivalent would be like in Marvel, but anyways, like Alan Moore like basically like turned him into this like one of the most powerful beings in the planet, basically. Yeah. Like and I think he can even connect with like nature and other planets if he's dropped there or some shit. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think he can do that.
Swamp Thing is very powerful.
Yeah, but he literally went from just like, oh, like this is like a side horror character.
Yeah.
To like one of the most powerful beings in the planet. Yeah.
And we don't obviously we don't know. He said, James Gunn said there's 2 more movies that he didn't announce yet.
Okay.
And he said one of them, the reason it wasn't announced was it's so big it would spoil what's going on in the slate, and that's stuff they don't want to reveal yet. So just the title. So
Justice League.
I just think that's so obvious.
Yeah.
Right? I think he would just be like, I just think he wouldn't say anything about that.
Sure.
I think it has to be something else.
He didn't announce a Wonder Woman movie, huh?
He announced a Wonder Woman prequel show about the Themyscirans. He said it's like Game of Thrones on Themyscira.
Oh, right. Dude, that's when it's getting too much for me. You know, when like this just reminds me of the fucking. Did I ever tell you about my class that was called Transmedia? And
you did. I remember we were talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is literally like early episodes of our podcast.
Yeah.
But like that when they started doing stuff like that, they're like, this is now Game of Thrones, but with the bitches from the Amazon. It's like, is it? Really, is it? It's Game of Thrones with the Amazon.
You never know.
Women.
It's HBO.
It's just. Oh, I'm just gonna write a Game of Thrones type of show. Like this is like, you know what I mean? It's like Game of Thrones, one of the best fucking shows ever. You're like, oh yeah, this is my what do you call it? This is with Carmine Falcone, but like The Sopranos. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, just say it's a show about this and it's like political intrigue or whatever.
Well, that's just how you get people interested.
I know, but to me it always
you gotta put on the buzzwords.
I feel like they're just
the thing is, this late video that was leaked was like, or not leaked, that was sent out. It was from his presentation he was giving to the shareholders. So he was pitching it to these people.
Yeah, you have to convince
So you have to throw in the buzzwords, and
yeah.
that's what he's like. It's like True Detective. It's like this, and we're also getting the live action Supergirl movie that's based on that recent Supergirl comics. That's pretty good. It's like a darker, it's like a dark fantasy.
Is it gonna be the big titty Latina woman from The Flash?
No.
God damn.
And as far as we know,
Boo.
we don't know. I mean, it might be. Okay, it might be.
I hope it is.
I actually think that someone asked him that, and he said like the door's open. Like they've been kind of giving that vague.
Let's see if The Flash bombs.
Yeah, they're
We'll
giving
figure
like
it
we'll see what happens.
but
Because they're really left, since they're flashpointing the universe, they're left with the ability to change until the movie comes out. I don't think it's set in stone who's going to come back and who's not.
why is Ezra Miller coming back? He should not come back.
We don't know that.
It's so stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they would be so fucking stupid to let that motherfucker back in.
What I think is funny,
He's not even a good casting choice in my opinion.
It's not. I was watching the Flash trailer last night. I was showing Maddie. I was like, Ezra Miller looks like Nathan Fielder.
Yeah,
like thinking that the whole time. Like
he literally looks like Finn Wolfhard if he was a gay rapist. What do you mean they?
They look like Finn Wolfhard.
Oh, he's one of those motherfuckers. They are one of those motherfuckers.
Listen, this is super offensive.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. This reminds me of I think it was a Tuesday I was at a cafe, and next to me were these two gay guys, and one of the gay guys I could tell like he was like somebody that like, planned events or something. And they were talking about I think Sam Smith. You know who Sam Smith is?
Yeah, of course. He wore the goofiest thing to the Grammys.
So he said something about like, yeah, and then Sam Smith, like I remember him being gay, and now he's like trying to be like a they them because now he's like an ultra faggot. Like he said that, and I started cracking the fuck up, and I told him I was like, sorry, I just overheard what you said. He was dude. He was a very funny dude, and he was like a very femininely gay, but he was just talking shit the whole time. He was sitting next to me, like just roasting trans people and like everything. It's so funny. He was one of those. You know what he said? He said something. He's
one of those gays for Trump.
Yeah, he was saying like how he doesn't want to date dudes that have TikToks. Like he was saying like really funny shit.
Gays for Trump, Miguel. Go to one of their rallies. You'll probably think it's the funniest. That's probably where you can find the funniest stuff.
He gave me a flyer of a party on West Hollywood.
Yeah.
That it literally said something like "find love" or whatever, and it literally said. I think it literally said "big gay party" as the name of the party.
That's based. You go?
No, it's on Friday.
Oh, are you going to go?
Maybe. Shit. Okay, so 2 movies that he hasn't.
He hasn't announced. One, he said it is so big that even the title would give it away. What if the title is like Superman fucks Batman in the ass? Yeah. For 3 hours.
What is it? The title is called
Come.
I'm Gay. And it's just James Gunn coming out.
It's like him standing there with his arms crossed. Like.
Yeah, with all the actors from the movies. Like, you have to support me or I'm going to fire you. What's the other one? Did he give a hint?
No, the other one I guess just they haven't revealed because they want to have some little surprises. But that one, he said.
All right, last thing. The Flash trailer.
Sick. Dope trailer.
Looks sick as fuck.
Which is crazy because I did not care about that movie at all.
I mean, the leaks sound horrific.
Yeah.
And I still think that it's like a fucking mess of a movie.
But it looks dope. Let me rephrase. Michael Keaton looks sick.
No, it all looks sick, and I'm so happy to see Batfleck again, or at least get like a chance to do better, I guess, or in the eyes of some. In my eyes, he's the best. But I am like a little bit worried that it looks really cool, but the story leaks are not encouraging, and also, you know what is like kind of like making me like I'm disappointed by the fact that this isn't the real Flashpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, yes,
the real Flashpoint has everything. It has like Deathstroke. It has Cyborg. It has Thomas Wayne Batman.
No, that's what I'm like. The real Flashpoint has like these other.
It's the whole Justice League. It has Aquaman fighting Wonder Woman because she murdered his wife and cut her head off and wears her crown as her. Yeah,
that's the thing that I'm like upset about because I'm like,
it's the same as when Marvel did Civil War.
No, because here's why I feel. First of all, this one is completely unearned. I'm like, the first Flash movie is Flashpoint. Are you fucking kidding me? Second of all, now, because with Civil War, like I was like, yeah, I guess I'm upset that they're not gonna do the true Civil War later, but I was always gonna be crazy. I feel like they could have done a true Flashpoint movie later, if they had just waited. I still think they're probably gonna do it in Justice arc. I think
so?
I really think so. I think Injustice is super popular. I think it's a great story to do, like obviously, like, you know, a two-parter sort of Justice League movies based around that. I think that'd be sick. But yeah, I think that's the only thing that I'm like yeah, the trailer looks sick. I definitely want to watch it. But I'm just upset that I'm just upset that we're not getting Thomas Wayne Batman and Martha Wayne Joker. Like, that's...
Well, she's not even the Flashpoint story. She's only if you read the fucking Batman spinoff.
Yeah, but obviously they would have included that. You know what I mean? If they did it.
Lauren Cohen.
Yeah, and then I think Thomas writes a letter to Bruce, right?
Yeah, and he sees and he cries.
He's like, I'm proud of you, even though you don't kill people, which is kind of gay to me, but cool, bro. And the blue suit, everybody has some hard for Batman. I'm like, I get that it's more comic booky, but it makes no fucking sense for a stealth character to be fucking bright light blue.
Yeah.
Like, just like it sure looks cool, whatever. Makes no sense makes no sense in live action. It just doesn't.
I've never been a big fan of the blue, if I'm being honest.
Me neither, bro. I like the gray and black.
Yeah, gray and black is perfect.
Yeah,
I want gray and black.
All black, I'm fine with too. Because again, if your thing is that Batman hides in the shadows, why the fuck would he have a fucking light blue suit? It doesn't make any sense.
With the yellow on the chest.
Yeah, the yellow in the chest doesn't make sense for Keaton's Batman either. By the way, very happy that they're making him way more like mobile.
Yeah, I love
and
that flip where
dude,
he grabs
that shit looks
slam.
sick.
That's
bro.
what I mean. As soon as I saw that, I was like, never mind, I'm sold. This looks cool.
I was like, this looks sick.
Badass.
Just for that. Obviously, I hope they don't. Because what they were gonna do, right? They were gonna do this stupid shit where they were gonna have him be the Batman of Batgirl.
Yeah.
I pray to Christ that they change this.
No, they are, because that movie's canned.
Well, we'll see.
It's done. Later, the other guy who's running DC, Peter Safran, he was like, yeah, that movie is unreleasable. He's like, it was unfinished. Like, he was just bashing
We all knew it was shit.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, guys, that's the podcast.
That is the podcast.
I guess we'll be back sometime when Evander doesn't buy the most expensive Lego I've ever seen in my life.
The Cuxure Bomb podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of it and put it as the thumbnail, because this shit is badass.
It is badass.
It really is amazing. It really is worth not having a quality podcast. All right, see you, fellas.
Okay.